Hey everyone, so in today's video I'm going to be passing over to Carl Pauline. He is going to be doing a bit of a sort of scope into his Todoist account, talking a little bit how he uses a system called COD, Collect, Organize, Do. So hopefully you enjoy this one, guys. I am just about to go away for the week, so there might not be me available in the comments this week, but I'm sure Carl will be in these comments for his video, so hopefully you enjoy this one. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I think you'll enjoy this one if you're a Todoist user. So without further ado, I will pass over to the lovely Carl to do this feature. So thanks very much, guys. You should have a great week, keep productive, and I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Francesco, for allowing me this opportunity to do this video for your viewers on your channel. Now, what I decided to do this time was to show you guys how I use a system I like to call COD in Todoist. Now, COD is an acronym for Collect, Organize, and Do. And basically, I never realized this until recently, but over the last 10 years, this essentially is the system that I've been following. And what I wanted to do with my system is to minimize the time I'm spending collecting and organizing so I can maximize my time on the doing. Because essentially, if you can minimize the input and maximize the output, then what you've done is created an amazing productivity system for yourself. So I decided to come up with this system, which essentially when I analyzed it, I realized it comes up with the acronym COD, Collect, Organize, and Do. And essentially what it means is you've got to be able to create the fastest way possible to collect stuff, everything that's thrown at you, whether it's emails, messages, social media that you need to respond to, requests from your boss or colleagues, your family or friends. You've then got to be able to organize that stuff on a daily basis in as quickly as possible. And I use a system there what I call the golden 10 minutes, which essentially on a day-to-day basis, I am organizing that stuff in a 10-minute window at the end of the day so that I can spend as much time as I possibly can doing the work. This is how I've been able to really seriously increase the productivity and the amount of stuff that I am doing on a daily basis. And it really has supercharged my productivity. So let me take you into Todoist now and show you exactly how I have it all set up so that I can take full advantage of the COD system. Okay, so as I mentioned in the actual beginning of this episode, is that my whole system is designed to be able to capture quickly. Now on my mobile device I use an iPhone, and so I'm using 3D Touch to capture notes very quickly, although the new version of Drafts application is an absolute gem, and I'm beginning to start using that again to be able to capture tasks very quickly into Todoist. However, if I was working from my desk, say I'm in the office or I'm doing some work on my computer, there's a number of ways you can do it. I actually have the setup Shift Command A, which will actually add a task. So this is a new task, and I can just quickly add it in there, and it comes up in my to-do list. Another one that I would strongly recommend if you haven't done this already is set up the Todoist I've forgotten what you call it, extension for your web browser, whether it's Chrome or in my case here Safari. I can click on that and it's just one click, hit the return, and sure enough that's gone into my Todoist, and I can just click on that. And the whole point for me is just having my whole system, whether it's my laptop, which I'm using here, or my desktop, to capture things really quickly. Another way you can do it is just hit the Q key, which I haven't got set up on my computer. That will also add tasks. So wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, so if for example I am in a website as we've got here, and what I want to do is just quickly capture a task, I've got it set up. I can set it up very quickly. If I'm writing something, Shift Command A, an idea comes to me, it just adds the task for me. So my whole system is created to be able to capture things really quickly. So as I say, in your web browser, if you don't have it already, get the Todoist extension. It really speeds things up. So when we get into our Todoist, we have all these tasks set in. So essentially what I've done is the next part of COD is the organize. So collect, which is set it up to be as fast as you can, and organize. So I collected all these tasks in here. These I will do later in my my golden 10. But again, what I've got here is this is a new task. Imagine I have an idea. This is going to be a personal. No, it's not. It's going to be something I do at home. Click the home, and I'm using the keyboard shortcuts to just get these tasks done. And again, I can hit the P, and I'm going to call that P2. So essentially, in just less than 10 seconds, I can actually allocate the label, the project, and the priority of the task, and then just hit save, and bang, it's gone. So those are the collection, and that's the organizing. And as I say, I'm gamifying these things. So what I mean by gamifying is I am trying to get faster and faster at collecting and faster at organizing. Now, before anyone says, surely you can't do a full weekly review in 10 minutes. Well, this is true. I don't do my weekly review in 10 minutes. I sit down on a Sunday afternoon with a nice cup of tea, and I do a full weekly review, correcting any errors that I may have done because of the speed. But essentially, on a day-to-day basis, what I want to be doing is focusing on the doing. And the way I do that is I take advantage of Todoist's new today's pinned favorites. Now, to pin a favorite is really quite simple. I actually use my filters. So I've got my today's objectives, my today's focus, and my next actions. And to pin a favorite is really quite simple. Actually, these are already pinned. So if I show you one like today's routines, I can click on this button here, add to favorites, and it will come up in my favorites list here. Now, I don't actually want to see that, so I'm going to hide from favorites, but that's essentially how you set it up. When you pin your favorites, it comes up under the three sidebar labels here: inbox, to do, and next 7 days. So I've got today's objectives, today's focus, and next actions. These are the three things that are important to me. So in the morning, I'm going to hit my today's objectives, and that's what I'm going to be focused on. Now, at the moment, I have nothing in my today's objectives because I have done them. But usually I have 2 objectives for the day, and those are the 2 things that I really want to get done for that day. And I will get them started as quickly as I possibly can. Once I've completed those, in fact, actually before I completed those, I will move into today's focus. Now, today's focus essentially are the things that are not P4 flags. So P4 is the most minor flag. It doesn't have a color. So anything but P4. If I go into my filters, I'll show you what I mean. So today's focus is really quite simple. It's today as in today's date, and not P4. And that's it. So whatever tasks I have in here, as long as they're not P4, they will show up, and they have a flag basically, and they are due today. And that means that when I'm setting up my task, when I'm doing my golden 10 at the end of the day, and I review the next 7 days, I will actually see which flags I'm using, because as you can see from tomorrow here, you can see that they come up in the flag order. So red flag comes up at the top, orange next, and then yellow, and so on. So today's focus is going to come up in the order that I wish to see them. And next actions are for all my projects that I have that actually have the next action. So each project, the very next action that I want to do will come up underneath that label. So the filter I have for that is next actions, and it simply is just a label, next actions. And before anyone points out that you don't need to create a filter because it is just simply a label, the whole point of setting it up as a filter is so I can have this all set up as my filters. It's just my way of doing it. If you don't want to do it that way and you just want to create the label, that's perfectly okay, because you can actually just pin a label if you wish. So I can just add next actions. The label will come up at the top, which is actually another reason why I didn't want to do it, because I wanted to create the workflow. Your labels, first of all, your projects are going to come up in pinned favorites at the top, then labels, then filters. And I didn't want it that way. I wanted to create my own order. For those of you guys wondering, by the way, and I saw when this pin features came out in the beginning, a lot of people were saying, why is it that this order, I can't change that order? That's simply because you change the order in your actual filters. So today's focus now is above today's objectives. It's not actually the way I want it, so I'm going to move that back, and it comes up in that order, just for those of you guys wondering about that. So essentially this allows me to get focused on what's really important to me. Anything that doesn't have a flag, or P4 flag if you wish, I don't want to see while I'm doing my work, because it's not important. If once I've completed all my work for the day, I will then move into my next actions. And then what I've done is I have a dashboard view. I call this my dashboard view, which I access just by clicking on the Todoist icon in the top left. And that shows me my inbox and all the things that I have got to do today. So as you can see here, these are just routine tasks that need doing, but they're not urgent. So replying to all comments, cleaning up my photos, which is a weekly, because it's very easy for iPhotos to fill up, and then just some daily admin stuff that I have to do, and then finally my golden 10, which is at the bottom, which is linked to an Evernote note. And that's essentially how I am making sure that I'm focused on the things that are truly important to me on a daily basis. It's how I'm using COD. So essentially for the collecting, I have everything set up so that I can quickly capture ideas, tasks, emails, everything. I can just get them all collected into my inbox. I can then organize that stuff at the end of the day as part of my daily, my golden 10. And that's essentially just processing the inbox, sending things off, checking things, deleting things that I no longer want. And then the rest of the time, I live basically in the pinned favorites, which is right here. I start in the morning with my today's objectives. I then move into my today's focus, which gets me focused on the work that I want to get done today. And if I do have time at the end of the day, I can move into my next actions and start doing some of the other project tasks that are not set up for today's focus. Okay. I hope you found this useful. I hope it's given you some ideas for those of you using Todoist. I should point out though that even if you're not using Todoist, you can set up any kind of system you want using COD, which is collect, organize and do. Just make sure that whatever to-do list application you're using, you've got it set up so that you can collect things in the fastest way possible. Make sure that when it comes to organizing what you've collected at the end of the day, you can do it within 10 minutes. That's kind of the game, if you like. Doesn't matter if you can't, but that should always be the goal. And the rest of the time, try and get it set up so that what's in front of you is the work that needs doing, so that you're focused on the work. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this guest video. I hope you found it useful. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.